guys, what's up? Theheartyaerie here, and it's time to do part 2 of my thoughts before the election in 2016. Anyways, so in the last video, I kind of introduced all 5 candidates, and I talked about Trump and Clinton the most, and why I don't like them. Today we're gonna talk about Jill Stein and Gary Johnson and why I do or do not like them. And I will also be telling you who I plan on voting for President of the United States of America. Also, I'm really hoping that the audio quality on this video is 10 times better than the audio quality on part 1. I did my best to improve it in editing, and I apologize for that. Anyways, we're gonna start with Gary Johnson. So, before I heard about Jill Stein, I was kind of looking into voting for Gary Johnson, and he seemed like an okay candidate. He seemed definitely better than Hillary Clinton, for sure. Like, yeah, I would definitely vote for him before I voted for Hillary Clinton. But that's not really saying much, because I'd vote for a dog, like a literal rough dog, before I voted for Hillary Clinton. So, Gary Johnson is, I mean, he's an okay candidate. He is definitely a better option than the 2 main candidates, although I would, with his stance on the TPP, I would still probably do Trump before him, just because of the TPP thing. But I don't have to worry about that, because I'm not voting for Gary Johnson. Or Donald Trump, or Hillary Clinton. Anyways, so Gary Johnson is very peculiar. He's very peculiar. He doesn't seem to have the social skills that are really needed to lead the country. You know, it's just, yeah. I watched a video where he, like, stuck his tongue out, and I know if you watch the video, you realize that he was just kind of mocking somebody else. But it was just inappropriate timing. It wasn't, you don't do that to a reporter, you do that to your buddies. So yeah, it was really weird. I mean, like, I understood what he was getting at, but it definitely made a lot of people uncomfortable, and that's understandable. But that's just one example of, like, how he doesn't have the social skills. I know I've watched a lot of people's opinions on him, and they're just like, I've never met him in person, but I've watched other people's opinions and listened to them who have talked with him in person, and they say he kind of gives them the creeps. And I'm talking about people who don't really get creeped out. Their lives are on the internet, so yeah, that just kind of makes me a little, I don't know the word for it, a little uneasy to have him be a candidate for President of the United States, because you can't, creep out other world leaders. You just can't do that. It just doesn't work. Don't do that, okay? And so that gives, like, the amount of people who have said that they give him the creeps and they make them feel uneasy makes me feel uneasy about him being president. I'm sure he's a great person, but he's got to work on the social skills if he wants to be president, for sure. And I do not support him because he supports the TPP. And I know in my last video I talked about how I won't vote somebody just because they're pro-life or pro-choice, because there are bigger issues to worry about, and one of the bigger issues for me to worry about is the TPP. If we get a president who joins the TPP, which for those of you who don't know is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and it will destroy our economy. It will ship jobs to other countries. We'll end up shipping a lot more out than we will be getting in. What we will be getting in will be lower quality than if it were to be made here in the USA. And it just, no. Also, all of the stuff that is involved with transporting things like that will destroy our environment. And for me, environmental issues is a big deal. It's very important. It's definitely, I look more into the environmental politics than I do a lot of abortion stuff. It's just, abortion has been a topic for a really long time. It's nothing new. No matter whether we get somebody who's pro-life or pro-choice, it's still kind of going to end up being the same that it is right now. So that's why it's not an important topic for me. However, the TPP and environmental issues they are newer topics. They are things that need to get addressed, and if you do something that's that awful on the environment, then it's going to affect us in so many other ways. So I do not support Gary Johnson because he supports the TPP. There's a few other things that I just don't like about his politics, for the fact that he's pro-choice, things like that. But he supports the TPP, and I cannot support a president who supports the TPP. I cannot. I just, no. There's so much wrong with it, and so yeah, that's why I'm not voting for Gary Johnson. I know that there are people who are voting for Gary Johnson, and I'd much prefer you to vote for Gary Johnson than vote for Hillary Clinton, so I mean, go for that, I guess, but I don't know for sure if Clinton supports it. I do know, however, at one point she supported it, so I don't like, no TPP, bad. So that's why I don't support Gary Johnson. And our last candidate we're going to talk about is Jill Stein. I support Jill Stein. I plan on voting for Jill Stein. Jill Stein is the presidential candidate that I am supporting. And she is very environmental friendly and very economically friendly. She has great politics. Yes, she is pro-choice, but again, not going to make a decision just based off of that. There are other things that I have on the higher priorities for me. And there are things about her that I don't agree with. I don't agree with her stances on gun control. I don't agree with her on her stances of immigration. I don't agree with her on her stances of taking in refugees. But I don't really agree with any of that stuff that Obama is doing either. And I'm surviving it. So, meh. And there's definitely more pros than there are cons for her, whereas everybody else I've talked about, there are far more cons than there are pros. I agree more along the lines of Donald Trump when it comes to taking in refugees, immigration, and gun control. Just, nah. However, he has a lot of politics that I don't agree with. He's not very environmentally conscious, and so, yeah. Voting for Jill Stein, she is going to create jobs with the politics she has in place. She's going to help our environment, which then will help us and the ability to have jobs. And yeah, she's all around a really good, I would say I agree with probably about 75 to 80% of her politics I agree with. So, for that reason, I will be voting for Jill Stein on November 8th, 2016. Yeah, and the reason I'm not really doing a segment on Darrell Castle is because, quite frankly, I just don't know enough about him, and to me, it's too close to election for me to switch to somebody else other than Jill Stein, because I've already decided, and because he's so far behind on the polls. A lot of people don't even know he exists, so he has no chance of making any kind of history at all. Whereas I know some people are going to say voting for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein is the same way they don't have a chance. They do have a chance. I do not agree that the polls are correct, partially because they have yet to poll me. What the hell? Who are they polling? I want to know who the hell they're polling, because it sure as hell ain't me. So, I don't think that the polls are accurate. I don't think that they're even close to accurate. I mean, I think obviously Jill Stein's not the top choice for everybody, but I do think that she's higher than 2%. Okay, let's just get that straight out there right now. So yeah, I'm not doing a segment on Darrell Castle just because I don't know enough about him to tell you about his politics, and I'm not gonna sway on my choice this close to election. Like, unless something astronomical happens that like changes my view on these political issues, I'm voting for Jill Stein. And that's just how that's gonna work. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick finish up on that topic. And if you have any other questions that you would like me to answer about my views on politics before November 8th, let me know. I'm also considering doing some of these, my views on the presidential election after November 8th, after we get the results and all of that. I don't know. I haven't decided. But I'm kind of thinking in that direction. So let me know if that's something that you would like me to do. Alright, thanks. Bye! The heartyaerie. What?